The illegal eviction process is a long process, so it takes a long time to get rid of a lousy tenant. Eviction will be a long process. Eviction will take up your time. It will be expensive, and it really should be your last resort. This should be the last thing that you should do if you need to evict someone. Hi, this is Anita from Real Estate Crunch. Today we're going to talk about professional ways to ask a tenant to vacate a property. And this is important to understand, if you're a tenant and you're renting from somebody, or even if you own a property, it's important for both sides to sort of understand what the rules are for this. You need to, first of all, understand your rights as a landlord and also understand your rights as a tenant. So first of all, as a landlord, you cannot just evict somebody because you decide you don't like them, or maybe you have somebody who's going to pay you more. If you signed a contract with them, you cannot just evict them because of that reason. You really have to have a reason to be able to evict someone. As a landlord, you do have the right to do the following to your property. You can sell your property. You can decide to renovate your property. You can evict tenants who are consistently breaking the terms of their lease, and you can end a contract if all parties are in agreement with it. Now, the illegal eviction process is a long process, so it takes a long time to get rid of a lousy tenant. Eviction will be a long process. Eviction will take up your time. It will be expensive. And it really should be your last resort. This should be the last thing that you should do if you need to evict someone. That is why we really recommend that you only use eviction if you see no other choice in the matter. There's some other methods that you can use to try to get someone to vacate a property if you want to have the property vacated. The first thing you do is you can communicate with them. You can tell them, you can say, here's why you need the property back. Maybe it's I've sold the property, or we've decided we need to do some extensive renovations. You can actually give them some assistance or to help them leave. If you want them to move out, maybe you could say, look, I'll pay for your moving. I'll do something like this. Maybe you give them something in return for their bother. You can give them an incentive. One of the major incentives is you give them cash for keys. If you'll move out, I will give you this, or I will give you this, or I'll give you 1 month's rent or half a month's rent, or whatever else you want to give them in order for them to move out. You do not break any laws in this. You do not violate or break any laws, because you usually have more trouble than what it's worth. If you ask them to leave, if you have a tenant that you have a good relationship with, maybe they understand why you need the building back. That may be that all you need to do. They may say, okay, fine, we'll leave. And that might be it. Cash for keys. A lot of people, if you're willing to give them some money, give them something for their trouble. Maybe instead you say, look, I'd like you to leave in 2 months, but I'm not going to charge you rent for a month. They might say, great, that will help us to be able to compensate for us having to move. But here's some things that you as a landlord should never do. And so, if you are renting from somebody, your landlord's doing this, and this really is against the law and is a problem. So no matter how bad the situation is or how bad the situation could be, as a landlord, these are things you should never do. Never change the locks on them without notice, especially if they are under contract. Never remove their personal property. Never physically try to force or remove them from the premise or the property. Never turn off the utilities on them. Never intentionally stalk or harass them. And never attempt to blackmail them. So, if you have an unreasonable tenant and you find that, you've talked to them, you've tried to offer them cash, all of these different things that hasn't happened, then if you need to evict them, then you'll have to go through, hire yourself a lawyer and go through the entire eviction process. But you yourself should not try to take the eviction into your own hands, because then you'll be in a lot more trouble. This is Anita from Real Estate Crunch. If you'd like to check out some more blogs about real estate, check out our blog, realestatecrunch.com. We'll put a link below in this blog, which is about professional ways to ask tenants to vacate a property. We have a lot of other great information on our blog about real estate. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you and we appreciate all of our listeners. Thank you to Rico for helping to make this podcast possible.